Hello, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to discuss a case that shocked Canada and the world. We'll explore the life and crimes of Paul Bernardo, a notorious criminal whose actions led to one of the most chilling criminal cases in recent history. However, this video will focus not only on the details of the case but also on the psychological profile of the perpetrator, the investigative process, and the impact on the victims and society. As always, we aim to explore these topics responsibly, focusing on the importance of understanding criminal psychology, preventing such crimes, and supporting victims and survivors. If you enjoy thought-provoking content on crime and justice, make sure to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Let's dive in. Paul Kenneth Bernardo was born on August 27, 1964, in Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. On the surface, Paul's early life seemed relatively normal. He was born to Kenneth and Marilyn Bernardo. However, behind closed doors, his family environment was far from ideal. Paul's father, Kenneth, was later convicted of child molestation, and his mother, Marilyn, struggled with severe depression. These turbulent family dynamics created an emotionally unstable home environment that affected Paul's development. Growing up, Paul exhibited traits that many would later identify as signs of manipulative and controlling behavior. While he was described as charming and intelligent, he began displaying a darker side as he entered adolescence. His desire for control and dominance became evident early on, and it would eventually manifest in his criminal behavior. By his teenage years, Paul had already begun to develop a fascination with violence and control, behaviors that would escalate as he became an adult. He was often described as a bully and was known to have a temper. His charming demeanor often masked a deeper, more sinister side, and by the time he reached adulthood, he had begun a series of criminal activities. In the late 1980s, the Toronto suburb of Scarborough became the center of a series of brutal sexual assaults. Between 1987 and 1990, a number of women were attacked in the area. The attacks were carried out by a man who would later be known as the Scarborough Rapist. The assailant's method of operation was chilling. He would stalk his victims, often near bus stops or when they were walking home late at night, and then attack them from behind. The attacks were violent and brutal, leaving many of the victims deeply traumatized. Despite police efforts, the identity of the Scarborough Rapist remained unknown for years. Composite sketches of the suspect were circulated, but the police were unable to make any breakthroughs. Paul Bernardo was able to elude capture due to the fact that, on the surface, he seemed like an upstanding citizen. He was intelligent, well-spoken, and had a seemingly normal life, which allowed him to hide in plain sight. Bernardo's growing confidence and his sense of power over his victims became more apparent as he continued his attacks. He began recording his assaults, creating videos of the violent acts, which served as a disturbing trophy for his egotistical desires. As the attacks continued, they became more violent and more brazen, culminating in a series of events that would escalate the case to an unimaginable level. It wasn't until advances in DNA technology that Paul Bernardo was linked to the Scarborough Rapist attacks. DNA evidence collected from the crime scenes matched Bernardo, and he was arrested in 1993, finally ending the reign of terror he had inflicted on the women of Scarborough. In 1987, Paul Bernardo's life took a significant turn when he met Karla Homolka. Karla, a veterinary assistant, was just 17 years old at the time. She was drawn to Paul's charm and confidence, and the two quickly became romantically involved. However, their relationship was far from ordinary. Karla, despite her outwardly normal appearance, became increasingly complicit in Paul's behavior. Instead of intervening or reporting his criminal acts, Karla not only tolerated Paul's violent tendencies but actively participated in them. Over time, she became an enabler, assisting Paul in carrying out increasingly disturbing acts. Their relationship soon took a dark turn when Paul began expressing a disturbing sexual interest in Karla's younger sister, Tammy Homolka. Shockingly, Karla agreed to help Paul fulfill his twisted desires, which would ultimately lead to a tragedy that would change the course of their lives forever. On December 23, 1990, Paul and Karla drugged Karla's 15-year-old sister, Tammy, with animal tranquilizers that Karla had stolen from her workplace. While Tammy was unconscious, Paul proceeded to sexually assault her, and Karla filmed the disturbing act. Tragically, Tammy aspirated on her own vomit while unconscious, and she died. Paul and Karla staged the scene to make it appear as though Tammy's death was an accident. Initially, authorities ruled her death as a tragic, unintended incident. However, the true nature of her death would not be uncovered until years later. The case remained unsolved for some time, and Tammy's family believed the incident was a tragic accident. The couple's ability to conceal the truth and avoid suspicion for so long revealed the extent of their manipulation and deceit. However, as the investigation into their crimes unfolded, the truth began to surface. After Tammy's death, Paul and Carla's crimes only escalated. They abducted, tortured, and murdered two teenage girls, 14-year-old Leslie Mahaffey and 15-year-old Kristen French. Their horrific acts sent shockwaves through Canada and prompted a massive nationwide manhunt. In June 1991, Leslie Mahaffey was abducted, and over the next several days, she endured unimaginable suffering. Her body was found dismembered and encased in cement at a nearby lake. The details of her case shocked the public and underscored the brutality of the couple's actions. Less than a year later, in April 1992, Kristen French was abducted. She endured similar torment before ultimately being murdered. Her body was discovered in a ditch, triggering one of the most extensive manhunts in Canadian history. These cases were pivotal in the eventual capture of Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka. The cases of Leslie Mahaffey and Kristen French were instrumental in exposing the full extent of Paul and Karla's depravity. They were not only horrific but also deeply unsettling in terms of the manipulation and coercion that had occurred between the two perpetrators. In 1993, police finally closed in on Paul Bernardo after linking him to the Scarborough rapist attacks through DNA evidence. The investigation into the murders of Leslie Mahaffey and Kristen French intensified, and the couple's connection to the crimes became undeniable. Karla Homolka, fearing for her own safety and future, ultimately struck a plea deal with prosecutors. Karla agreed to testify against Paul in exchange for a reduced sentence, a deal that would later become highly controversial. Her testimony helped to convict Paul Bernardo of the murders, but it also raised many questions about the fairness of the plea deal and Karla's role in the crimes. In 1995, Paul Bernardo was convicted of the murders of Leslie Mahaffey and Kristen French, as well as the sexual assault and murder of Tammy Homolka. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for 25 years. Karla Homolka, after serving 12 years in prison, was released in 2005. Her release sparked public outrage, as many felt that she had received a lenient sentence for her role in the crimes. The Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka case had a profound impact on the victims' families, the Canadian public, and the criminal justice system. The brutality of the crime shocked the nation, and the case remains one of the most high-profile in Canadian history. For the families of Leslie Mahaffey and Kristen French, the trauma of their loss is immeasurable. The psychological toll on the victims' families is one that will last a lifetime. In addition, the case also highlighted the importance of understanding the psychological dynamics that allow such crimes to happen. The Paul Bernardo case also raised questions about the criminal justice system, particularly with regard to plea deals and the treatment of female perpetrators. Karla Homolka's reduced sentence has been a point of contention, with many believing that she played a far more active role in the crimes than her plea deal suggested. In this video, we explored the life, crimes, and psychological dynamics of Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka, shedding light on the impact their actions had on the victims and society. This case serves as a chilling reminder of the complexities of criminal psychology, the dangers of manipulation, and the importance of vigilant law enforcement and victim support systems. If you found this video insightful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll continue exploring criminal cases, psychology, and justice in future videos. Thank you for watching, and take care.